Hello guys, it is Gate of Theories, and seeing as The Incredibles 2 is almost coming out, we thought we'd look back into a question that you probably asked before when you're watching the first Incredibles, and yet no one has answered it. And that question is, how did Gazerbeam find out about Syndrome's password Kronos? Because if Gazerbeam hadn't have found out, then Mr. Incredible wouldn't have been able to hack into Syndrome's computer and find out what on earth his plan is. So Gazerbeam knowing what Kronos is one of the main points in the Incredibles movie, so that helps them win. So how did Gazerbeam find out about Kronos? So today we're going to work out how. But before we get into the video, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, please do, as we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. So firstly, we need to find out what Gazerbeam was doing on his time on Syndrome's island. So to find this out, I decided to go on his Pixar wiki page, and I found out that Gazerbeam was one of several supers who was invited by Syndrome, just like Mr. Incredible, to come to his island to fight the Omnidroid. Now, Gazerbeam fought the Omnidroid version X4, and then managed to defeat it. So of course, as we know with Mr. Incredible, when he defeats an Omnidroid, Syndrome invites him back after he has created a brand new version of the Omnidroid. Now, it says that Gazerbeam was then killed by the next Omnidroid, which was Omnidroid 5, but then it says that he was killed by number 5, but before he was killed, he found out about Operation Kronos, which is of course the password. So now we've got to find out what Gazerbeam was doing between killing Omnidroid version X4 and being killed by the Omnidroid 5. So to work this out, I decided to look at what Syndrome did when Mr. Incredible had defeated his first Omnidroid. Now Syndrome decides to tell Mirage to invite him to dinner. So Mr. Incredible decides to go to dinner with Mirage and sees there's a big open lava wall. Now Mr. Incredible gets there a little early and finds out that Mirage and Syndrome are talking, and there's a big gap between the lava wall. And then once Syndrome leaves, the wall closes. So Mr. Incredible was getting a bit suspicious then, and then him and Mirage have a nice dinner. So I reckon that Gazerbeam also saw sort of the same thing, and saw that Syndrome was on the other side of the lava wall and saw him talking to Mirage. Now, my first theory of how he found out about Operation Kronos would be when Syndrome was talking to Mirage behind the lava wall, is Syndrome might have been talking about Kronos, and Gazerbeam would have heard it and then found out that Kronos was the password, as I would say that after the dinner, like Mr. Incredible did, Gazerbeam would have gone through the lava wall, entered the password Kronos in, and found out that that was the password and needed to tell the other supers. But that could have been one way how he could have found out about Kronos, or what he could have done is he would have got a bit suspicious, so he would have started investigating around, and of course Syndrome would have found him, and then what was Syndrome's big mistake? Syndrome would then...
He starts monologuing.
Now you respect me, because I'm a threat. That's the way it works. Turns out there are a lot of people, whole countries, who want respect, and they will pay through the nose to get it. How do you think I got rich? I invented weapons, and now I have a weapon that only I can defeat. And when I unleash it, I'll get... You sly dog! You got me monologuing!
Yeah, Syndrome would start monologuing, and in this monologue, he might start mentioning about Operation Kronos, as he seems to like mentioning stuff about all the stuff he's created, so Operation Kronos might be one of them. Gazerbeam would have then heard about this, and just before he died, he would have lasered Kronos into the wall so that the next super who comes along could find out the password, just like Mr. Incredible did, and stop Operation Kronos and stop Syndrome. So guys, that is our theory on how Gazerbeam found out about the password Kronos. If you did enjoy this video, then please like it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As I said before, we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, so we would appreciate any help. and tell us in the field section down below what you thought of this theory. If you think that Gazerbeam did find out about Kronos because of Syndrome's monologuing, then tell us that in the field section down below. Also tell us if you're excited for The Incredibles 2, as we here at Gate of Theories especially are. And very soon, hopefully, we'll get some Incredibles 2 theories out. And as always, we've been here on Gate of Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.